Remember earlier when Sandy said that shorebirds must have a very good reason for flying so far? Well, they do, and it's for the abundance of food in the Arctic tundra. And they fly so far because of their special adaptations. That makes it possible to migrate from one habitat to another on the journeys that may take weeks and cover thousands of miles. Western sandpipers and all shorebirds must have a lot of energy to fly those thousands of miles. But how did they get all that energy? And how do they fly so far? Let's watch a short video on shorebird migration to find out.
Migration is one of the most astonishing natural wonders of our world. Why would a western sandpiper, weighing only as much as 6/4, fly 4,000 miles to the Arctic tundra? Well, for food, of course. As seasons change, so does food supply. Shorebirds must migrate from breeding grounds in one climate to those in another climate to ensure they will have the food they need to survive. Shorebirds have a yearly cycle of migration between habitats. They migrate or fly long distances, stopping several times at various wetlands along their flyway. A flyway is a path birds follow to and from their breeding grounds, and it can be a long journey, more than 4,000 miles. But how could small birds possibly fly so far? Well, just as you might do before a physical activity, like a soccer game or dance recital, shorebirds fuel up for the long and difficult task of migrating by eating lots of big meals. And we mean lots. Shorebirds and other migratory birds have the amazing ability to almost double their body weight in just a few weeks. Humans can never come close to doubling their weight in a few short weeks. But to get an idea of how much shorebirds eat in preparing to migrate, imagine eating a barrel of peanut butter and then running a marathon. A person can never consume so much. Only shorebirds have this special adaptation. The extra weight shorebirds put on before migrating serves as stored energy, and you can bet it comes in handy when flying thousands of miles. Migration sounds like a fun adventure. Sure, there's a lot of eating and a lot of flying, but shorebirds face many challenges as they travel from one breeding ground to another. They might encounter dangerous storms or drought conditions. Migrating birds might also find that humans have altered wetland habitats so that they and other species can no longer use them as resting grounds. Predators like cats and falcons pose another threat to migrating shorebirds. And oftentimes, the water supply that migrating birds depend on becomes polluted from oil spills or pesticide runoff from lawns and golf courses. And did you know that four-wheelers, cars, and even people walking along beaches can disturb migrating birds as they feed and rest? It's never an easy journey. There are lots of threats to shorebirds, but fortunately there are people helping them. How? Many organizations and individuals have made it their mission to protect public lands like national forests and national wildlife refuges. Migrating birds can rest and refuel free from many dangers in these protected habitats. And you too can help the shorebirds' annual journey by learning about the birds through research and observation.
Wow, see how tough migration can be for these guys? Now let's review. Shorebirds must migrate from one wetland habitat to another in order to ensure that they'll have enough food. We'll learn a lot more about wetland habitats in just a bit. But just remember that the migration journey can be very rough, especially if they encounter dangerous storms or drought conditions, or if they're threatened by predators like cats and falcons. And sometimes they're faced with change or the destruction of wetland habitat caused by people. Now imagine if you are used to visiting your grandmother or your friend along a certain route, and then someone came along and ripped down the landmarks or redirected the streets. Would you get lost? When people fill wetlands with gravel and pavement or put buildings on this land, a shorebird can no longer use this area as a resting and feeding ground. We hope you'll take the time to learn more about shorebirds and migration so you can help them have successful journeys.